Hey, what is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here saying you're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles and your solutions for someone's problem. And I am so happy I got another person on Blab. She had to come from New York and I had to show her Blab in, well, eastern part of Toronto. She thought it was Bush, our good friend's house, Roger and Camille and family. But we have her here now.
I
this
thought we were
lady, yeah, well, I'm telling you, I can honestly say that this lady's a friend. She's a powerhouse, but you know what? Most importantly, she has a great heart. And we have Nicole Franklin on the Blab tonight, finally. And she's just a filmmaker's powerhouse. You know what? I'm not going to introduce her. I'm going to let herself introduce Nicole Franklin. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me, Dr. Blab. I am so excited to be with you. You are the Blab expert now. You've done one.
No, I'm not.
But anyway, yes, I'm in New York. I'm a filmmaker. I'm originally from the Midwest. I'm a filmmaker, writer, and educator. I also founded a tech initiative in St. Louis, my hometown, called Hack for Hope. So we have kids learning to code there. And it was a way to give back to the students in St. Louis to say, hey, you can do anything if you enhance your technical skills. So back in the late 80s and 90s, when I was getting ready to get my career started, I picked up a technical skill called video editing and started working in the newsrooms of television and local news and network news. I spent time in LA for 5.5 years. I've been in New York for 18 years, maybe, is it? Oh, goodness. And really enjoying life as a news editor as a side gig. I freelance because my very real passion is filmmaking. And news editing naturally led into making my first film as a documentary, and I've been making documentaries ever since. Please visit NicoleFranklin.com and you can see, I think I've done over 10 films, maybe 12 films, 15, who knows, but it's a lot. And now I'm kind of moving those into the narrative space. My characters were so interesting from my documentaries that I'm writing scripts with them in it now. But I love documentary filmmaking, so I was excited that Dr. Vibe wanted to talk about that tonight.
Well, you know what? It's not I wanted to talk about. I asked what you wanted to talk about that. So don't put it on me, young lady. I got you. I got your back, though. But where did, and I've never had a chance for you to share this, whether it's been offline or online, where did the love of documentaries come from for you?
I think just doing it. You know, I guess I didn't know what I was watching when I grew up watching PBS, and didn't spend too much time watching the newscasts that really expanded their storytelling. So the newscasts like 60 Minutes and, you know, long talk shows like Face the Nation, where they would really expand on a subject. I didn't spend too much time growing up watching that. I read a lot and, you know, was very, very active as a child. So, but I got to meet a lot of people that I knew when I watched my fictional fun things. I wasn't seeing the characters represented on screen of what I knew as far as everyday life. But then when I do see those real life stories, I feel there had to be a balance, you know. If it was about us, were they good stories about, you know, Black people in the U.S., or was it always one representation versus no representation, you know? So, and I think the desire to do a documentary really came from me wanting to do a narrative film. And the dramas that really felt like we could star in a love story and we could star in a family drama that has a happy ending. And the way to do that was to do a film. To get Hollywood to notice you, you have to do a film. And to do a film that you can afford, I quickly found out was a documentary film. I mean, the characters are right in front of you. The budget you can keep quite affordable. And you can make it any length you want, but if you want to sell it, you know, find out which broadcaster you want to go to and try to follow their parameters, or you're going to sell it on your own. And the space was so wide and the topics weren't covered. When I started my film company, it was 1999, that I said, hey, you know, let me do a film on double Dutch jump rope at the time. That's what I've done 3 films on double Dutch jump rope now. But once you get started with that camera rolling and the action, literally there's action obviously with the jump roping, but the emotions of the women and the young girls and the boys that were jumping in front and telling us their stories, you just get addicted to it. And it was really fantastic and made a great story, especially if, like me, I like editing stories together. So I had so much great material to draw from. And the interviewing process, everything about it, you know, finding different angles for the camera, everything about it was quite exciting. It was like live because there was no script. So that's what was exciting.
I just want to ask as a conversation. I got some echo there. Okay. All right. Turned off. Good. What did your family feel about you getting into this industry? Like, were they supportive? Were they saying, Nicole, are you crazy? You don't need to do that. Has the family support always been there?
Always, yes, always, yeah. You know, I come from a family where my sister's a dancer, choreographer, my youngest sister's a photographer, and my dad's a retired journalist, but, you know, journalism his whole career. Staff is a staff reporter, editor, and my mother's a musician. So it was kind of natural that we went into the arts in some way. And we grew up dancing and acting and doing theater and playing piano and, you know, instruments. So that was kind of just natural. But I think they get nervous. I know they were nervous like 2 years ago, but they get nervous with some of the subjects I cover because they know the situation that I have to go into. And it's like, well, really, do you have to go into it? It's like, well, this is a story that I was given the access to. And if I'm given the access to and the story has to be told, then I'll get in there because I want to tell the story. And usually with documentary, it's a very small crew. So one story I was telling, it was me and a camera person, the sound person, and a bodyguard. I mean, that's how serious it had to be. And then others, I'll go by myself and I'll hop on a plane and land somewhere that I'm not familiar with and just start filming. So it's, you know, it gets them a little worried now, I think. And when I was younger, it was like, yeah, whatever she's doing. But I think double Dutch was much safer than anything I'm covering now, or who knows, you know, you never can tell. But, you know, other than that, they've been quite excited and supportive.
Since you started going into this journey of documentaries, how has it changed from a production end, like on the back end, and how has it changed on the documentaries that are being shown? Because you've been there for a while, respectfully. How has the marketplace changed behind the camera and in front of the camera? I'm being correct now. Easy, Nicole. Now, come on.
I know. I appreciate it. Trust me. I've heard some real, like, you know, in my face, you're old type of talk. But I know I haven't been there for a while.
No, you did. I wasn't going there, and you see what you did to me. Oh, God. Just answer the conversation. You're getting me in trouble.
But what's been cool is that I came along in the digital age. And I mean, I came along right at the start of it because people were still shooting documentaries on film and 16 millimeters, like right before I started. And when you do that, that is quite expensive, and you have to have funding to start, a grant, access to a lab, all of it. And it's so much to think about because you really only have so much time on that magazine that the interviews can't go on. With me, I started when it was digital tape, actually. And if my main subject was in front of the camera, you know, you get the auxiliary subjects that feed into the story later or earlier than your main subject. The main subject, the feature of the film, I would always take 3 hours to interview. And I can't even imagine doing that on like 16 minutes and 12 minutes a clip and then switching out. So for me, it was the right time. And so that's what's changed, digital and the access to it. So I just really want to encourage people to support the documentaries now because it is the most access we've had as filmmakers of color to any entry into this industry. So as far as filmmaking, we are in it. And if you're, you know, hard pressed to name several directors of color, open your mind up to documentaries, because that's where we have the most access. And you really have to work, or it might come natural to some people, but you really have to work at finding a story and putting a story together that makes sense with the beginning, middle, and end. Because again, it is unpredictable. You'll go in with one idea that you're covering one person or issue or institution, and then you come out with something that, you know, something happened along the way, or there was a cathartic moment in one aspect that you were expecting over here and it came over there, but your camera happened to be rolling. I mean, it gets exciting or not. You know, some people have stopped down, and but I've rarely heard that when some people have stopped just because the subject wasn't interesting. I've heard stop because they ran out of money, but usually there is a spark there for the idea, or a meeting that happened, or a chance encounter. And that's the passion you want to feel when watching a film from a particular filmmaker. And because we have such good access now, it could be the filmmaker next door. And I just really want to encourage people to support us. You know, it is a business, but we love doing it, and we love putting the truth out there.
Does it get any easier to get funding? Because it always seems that that's the biggest hurdle in a lot of cases. Is it getting any easier, or is it getting more difficult with more people entering this space of doing documentaries? And also because of the digitalization, people can do their own things with their own little pocket camera.
Exactly. So that's twofold. No, it's not easier to get funding because there's thousands of more people applying to the same grant. More broadcasters are doing documentaries because that's less expensive programming than a scripted series. We have to watch it, though. We have to media watch these broadcasters, because if they want to fall into the reality TV aspect of it, that's not documentary. That's manipulative and ambush TV in most cases. Some are decent, but reality TV is different than documentary. So if they say, hey, we want to do unscripted programming, what exactly does that mean? And so that's interesting. It's funded, but it may not be, you know, something that really moves you as a filmmaker. And then, yes, we have those camera phones now. I've filmed 2 documentaries on the camera phone that have high-end HD. So yes, you have access to filming. So it is a better situation as far as funding the film yourself, and realistically knowing what kind of film to do with what funds you have available.
Okay. When you go out and, I guess, network, etc., in this space of documentaries, are you seeing more and more younger people entering into this market?
I wish I were. I think I see young people. First, I need to meet more young people. I think that's what I've seen. Young people that might be scared off. They might be scared off because it is a lot of work. I mean, you're not just following, or you could do a documentary when you follow somebody around for a day. That is, you know, could be an interesting doc. You know, if you're following Jerry Seinfeld for a day, I mean, come on, that'd be fun, you know. But getting that access, getting the B-roll, and doing something really that comes from the passion of your heart, and you just have to, you cannot sit still. You have to go out and film that person or issue or institution. It takes a lot of work and dedication. And I know a lot of young people are struggling out here as far as just, you know, living day to day and making ends meet. So it's kind of a different way of looking at things. And it's unless that story really moves them, they're being hired for jobs right now, big jobs at small salaries. That seems to be the millennial way, is that people are hiring millennials, expecting them to live 6 people in an apartment here in New York, you know. And so it's like, well, yeah, you're going to invent this app and do this fantastic thing in tech, but we can only pay you for, you know, like $20,000, because, you know, you'll grow and you'll probably start your own company, and they might, you know. So there's a lot of money-driven type of motivation happening. And that doesn't feed into, yeah, but I want to shoot this doc on the side about women in their 40s who jump rope, you know. So so there's that. But then there's the young people that that surprise you. and in our filming, and it takes a lot of time. So if I met more of them, it'd be great. I don't know if I tell them keep going or just, take it in moderation, because how hard you worked, So it's scary. It's scary for young people. But then I also see a lot of young people looking for 9-to-5s. And that's very interesting because I don't think that's out there. And if they get hired on a documentary, that's great. But you also need experience, which comes from shooting your own doc. So it's really weird. So I'd like to meet more young people and see what they're doing. So hey, call me up, and let me know what you're up to.
Just want to give a shout out to Danielle Booz. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Thanks for stopping by the Blab. Why you say that?
Hi,
why we should? Yeah, you're asking why we should support indie filmmakers. Is that even more important now than any other time? And if it is, why so?
It is definitely because we do these passion projects so that others will learn about the subjects we're covering. If I want to know about it, I think that a lot of people want to know about it. The series that I'm doing now, executive producing, is Little Brother. So Little Brother is 10 chapters, 15 minutes each, of young Black boys in the U.S. and their thoughts on love and their emotions and how they navigate their communities, from a loving point of view and a family centered. And if they do not have a family, what do they do to make up for that? And it's how to live, as a young Black man in America. And so that was completely, it had to be budgeted in that I could fund it. Because if I couldn't fund it, I wasn't going to find a donor or, a grant that was going to fund it, because it hasn't been done before, especially as a series of 10 chapters. And there's a reason it hasn't been done. Nobody thinks it'll sell. So that's something you have to take on. And if I'm funding it, great, it's done, it's funded. But now we're distributing it. So that means people have to watch it and support it. And if we get that funding and that backing on the back end of people watching it, then we can go and make more. So it's because the funding can run.
Absolutely. Just off topic, what gave you the strength, the vision to do the Little Brother series? Why Little Brother? Why now? Why at this time in your documentary career?
I have been doing films on Black women, and people were asking me, what about the men in their lives? How do the men in their lives feel about what they're up to? These powerful and empowering women, who's in their life? Who's at home? And what are their thoughts on what they're up to? And so it was leading me to get male voices in there, which is fine. I thought I had male voices in the films, but people wanted to know more. So the audience led to that kind of inspiration of, these men actually support them and love them very much, these women we're covering. Wait a minute, these men support them and love them. That's what we're not seeing on camera. Black men loving their family, loving being alive, and supporting what's going on in their communities. So let's put some emotional quotient out there in the voices of Black men. And when do they learn about love? Hey, nobody's covering the young population, except for the fact that they're always predicting that the younger population has a career in prison or a career as an athlete, which is absolutely fine, but limited career choices. And prison was always a big part of it. So I said, well, let's go to that middle school area. And I knew it had to be 10 films. It couldn't just be the one, because then we'd be forgotten about. And when I asked Jay Tygett to join me in this journey, she said yes. And I was like, oh, great, we have a team. So, and 2 women out there doing it. That's interesting. But it is, I think it provokes different answers from the men in front of the camera, but it had to be done. So it's just kind of necessity.
Okay. What, I guess, how do you approach documentaries differently now than when you first started?
now I have a complete business mind about it. You know, what can I afford to cover? And if I can't afford that huge documentary, I mean, I do have a documentary I started in 2004 that it was a historical documentary. And those are always seen on PBS and other cable networks for a reason, because they were commissioned, because they were paid for. So historical documentaries involve archives, and archives cost a lot of money. So we're talking at least $500,000 those films cost. So that was something that I tried to raise, and it was defeating me every year, funding rounds, and people love, you know, trailers I put together. And I was like, oh, this is really, really tough. So I knew that I had to focus on contemporary films, and it is what's happening now. And so the Little Brother thing was really feeding into that, which is great. But I think shorter films, I haven't done a feature documentary in years. And it'll have to be a great subject in order for me to have something I really want to just throw myself into. And I figure, you know, at my age, I'm like, what do I have, 15 more years on me? So you have to look at the length of time and how much it'll be. So right now, smaller budgets that I can afford in case I don't get a grant, because I don't even apply for grants anymore, because that in itself is a job. And like I said, you've got thousands of people now applying for the same one. If I'm invited, I'm at the point where if I'm invited to apply for something, then I'll think about it. Right now, I look for people who are also business minded, and I have distribution now, which is fantastic. If I do a film, I'm like, hey, I think this would be good for your channel or your network or your library. And they're like, let's see it. It's Nicole Franklin film, which is really, really special for people to offer that now. So there's a business model I follow now, and shorter is always better.
Well, when we're offline, I have an idea suggestion for you, but I'm not going to talk about it live.
Oh,
that
yeah,
I feel from where I sit can make you money to, in turn, not only pay you but fund future projects. But we're on a time cut here, because it's coming up to 8 o'clock Eastern time, and you've got to get some sleep. And tell people why you have to get some sleep.
Well, tonight I have to get some sleep. Well, tonight I'm not going to be sleeping. Tonight I'm going to be just working here. I have a bunch of cleanup work to do, because we have, fortunately, helped launch a couple of channels. Kweli TV, Kweli TV, is a new streaming channel that has 6 films of Epiphany Inc.'s streaming on it. Yay! So join Kweli TV, everybody. Very affordable, and it's Black films all over the world. It's the African diaspora. It's a streaming channel. It's a female CEO. She's fantastic, and it's a 30-day free trial. So please see Kweli TV, and then Fubu TV. Fubu TV, from the guys who brought you Fubu. We're on Fubu TV, which is a VOD channel, and Little Brother, 4 of our chapters are on the VOD stream for Fubu TV in southern states. And so we have that information on my website, NicoleFranklin.com, as well as littlebrotherfilm.com. And then, yeah, so I'm doing a lot of work, you know, promoting that. And then during the week, latter part of the week and on the weekends, I freelance as a news editor in the mornings on a morning news show here. And, you know, it's kind of like my day gig, night gig. I go to work at 2:30 a.m. So my sleep hours are not yours.
Well, okay. So I don't know if you're at liberty to give out the news program that you work on, but can you tell them that, can I say, I'm going to tell them she is part of, she has won a Grammy Award.
It's an Emmy Award.
Emmy, sorry. Well, you know what? You deserve both. Your Emmy Award. You want a daytime Emmy Award. Hey, I'm speaking. You know what? You could win both.
Nobody wants to hear me sing. I sing in the shower.
No. Well, you know, we won't go there, but, you know, she could win both. One day, maybe she'll come on Blab and tell you about her George Clooney story, but that's another conversation.
Only if Camille can join me. That was so funny that she had George.
Yes, Camille Dundas and her, they both got interesting George Clooney stories. So when we get them on Blab, that's going to be the first point of order to share the George Clooney story, and we'll tweet it out to his Twitter handle and see if he jumps on. That's another story. But
yeah,
I know
also with Camille and Roger Dudas, everybody please check out buyblacks.com. It is Toronto-based publication that Dr. Vibe introduced me to the publishers, Camille and Roger Dudas. And I love writing for them because I get to write about documentaries. So please check out the Black Docs column. That's me. And they were so eager and, willing and yes, let's do it in a second. When I said I want to write about documentary film, and it's really cool. So you'll learn a lot about Black Canadian filmmakers making Black documentaries about Canada. And trust me, they're very interesting, very good.
Well, and it's wonderful. And I don't think Nicole and I have maybe known each other, say, 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. And when I first started speaking with Nicole, I thought about a good friend of mine, Camille Dundas, and her husband, Roger Dundas, and bam. And it's been a great, we're part of the, I guess, I don't know if we're part of the Buy Blacks team or I'm part of the eConvo team. I don't know. I'm just part of the family. That, I'm just there.
You are.
I'm just there. So, but Nicole, I know you've got stuff to do. Before we let you go, I'm going to give a shout out to at Achievable Great, because she's loving what you're doing and she's following both of us on Twitter and she's going to support you, which is wonderful. Before we let you go, first of all, thanks very much for sharing as always. Just give all your contact.
Thanks.
Well, and the Wi-Fi is okay, but we'll get to it. It's going to get better. How can people contact with you again before we let you go?
NicoleFranklin.com, NICOLE, Franklin spelled like Aretha with an I, NicoleFranklin.com. On Twitter, I love Twitter. I'm always on Twitter at Nicole Edits because I grew up as an editor. So at Nicole Edits, YouTube.com/Nicole Films. Please subscribe. I'd love for you to watch.
Type it out.
At least 2 hours of.
Type it in the chat.
Yes, I will.
So when people look at the rebroadcast on Blab.
Oh, good. Do they get the feed too? That's amazing.
Yeah, you can type. There you go.
And then Little
Type that one in.
Is where you can find our little brother.
Promote yourself out.
It's going.
There you go.
Yes. And then, of course, always watch Dr. Vibe because he's got such interesting guests on. And I love what you're doing. And then the Good Men Project. We have to give a shout out to the Good Men Project. Right for that.
There's
the men.
There's so many things that Nicole is involved in, and all of them are outstanding. And I'm involved with some of them, not involved in all of them, but we're just here to help each other out as much as we can. And check out, I really mean it, check out what Nicole's doing. Support. If you can't support funding wise, support by just watching. Just every little thing helps, as long as it's positive. Every little thing helps. So we're going to shut it down here because Nicole's got so much work to do. Nicole, thank you so much. If you want to touch base with me, Dr. Vibe, the two best ways at Twitter at DRVIBESHOW, and also the website www.thedrvibeshow.com. That's DRVIBESHOW.com. As always, remember, you're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles, and you're a solution for someone's problem. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And we'll see you soon. And maybe Nicole will start hosting her own shows. I'm going to get her to do it. Good night.
You are. Good night. Bye.